So while I was at the gym yesterday, I decided to do uneven deadlifts. And after I was done my set, a trainer came up to me and told me that I was rounding my shoulders during the entire exercise. Originally, I would have had a big ego and deny it, but I understood that it could be dangerous to round your shoulders during a deadlift. I understood the risks, and I knew I was taking the risk to round my shoulders in order to complete the exercise. But with a discussion with him, I told him that because I was doing it uneven on purpose, it is very difficult to keep the shoulders pull back slightly during a deadlift, especially when it's uneven. But for this video, I'll just talk about are the risks or are the benefits of rounding your shoulder worth it in order to bring your numbers up. So when you deadlift with rounded shoulders, you can actually increase your numbers a lot. Chances are you do increase your chance of rounding your lower back, because generally when you keep your shoulder blades back, or when you keep your upper back completely straight, you're not going to round your lower back. It's very difficult to round your lower back and keep a straight upper back at the same time. But the other way around, it's actually very easy to keep a neutral lower back and round your shoulders. If you round your shoulders long periods of time and don't correct it, I think it's actually bad for shoulder health overall. I find that because I was doing a lot of rounded shoulder lifts, like Zercher deadlifts off the floor, because I can't do that with straight upper back, it probably made my shoulders weaker over time. Like, I find that my behind the neck press wasn't going up. I find that my handstand push-up against the wall, other than an increase in body weight, it wasn't actually improving at all, and at one point it actually got worse. It's also possible because I haven't done it in a long time, or I haven't practiced it as often as I should. If you're a competitive lifter and you have to round your shoulders to get the lift completed, then that's the risk you're willing to take. But if you're a recreational lifter, you got to understand the risks as well if you're going to go with this path. I myself, I like to do both rounded shoulders with really heavy weights, but my focus is on keeping my core really tight and really activating those leg muscles, those glutes, and completing the lift. And then there are times I'll just practice with a lot less weight, but I would really twist the bar by forcing supination to keep a straight upper back. And I also practice keeping my neck tense to keep the upper back straight as well, and to keep the neck muscles strong and not in the vulnerable position. For myself, when I regularly practice deadlifts with a rounded upper back and I don't do exercises or don't do sets with straight upper back, I find it makes kyphosis worse. I find that it can make my forward head posture even worse. But that's a risk I'm willing to take. I know training with a straight upper back, especially for deadlifts, is the best way to do a deadlift. It's the best way to prevent injuries, to keep your shoulders healthy, to activate the rear delts better. The biggest concern I have with deadlifts is that you round your lower back too much and you don't activate your core to the point that you put your lower back in an overstretch position and damage your spine. That would be the biggest concern I have. I know, like, I do a lot of lifts where I'm actually rounding my lower back in order to finish it, like Zercher deadlifts off the floor. It's almost impossible to do that lift with a complete straight back, even with a straight upper back and a neutral spine completely. Like, most people don't have the flexibility to do that. Even most people don't have the flexibility to do a Zercher deadlift off the floor with a rounded back and do it injury free. But that's a risk I'm willing to take. I actually think it's a beneficial exercise for myself to apply to other exercise and to apply to the type of job I do. Even though I know I'm taking all the risk for myself, I also do a lot of preparation. I do lots of mobility exercises. I do sets with lighter weights, with decent form. I also practice these on a regular basis, and I don't sit on the couch all day or have too many rest days, because I want to keep myself mobile. The way I think about it is in fights, in sports, or even a lot of labor jobs, you're not in a neutral position all the time. And a lot of times you're in vulnerable positions. So I would do whatever it takes for myself to get used to working out in vulnerable positions, just to make myself stronger overall.